I used to think I was invincible. Not in the stupid, I'm tough because I hit the gym kind of way. I mean untouchable. You don't make your first 10 million by 25 without a little bit of bloodlust. You don't break contracts with billionaires and come out clean unless you have ice in your veins. And you sure as hell don't start a black market streaming empire from a Monaco penthouse unless you know how to twist the world by the neck. So when the debate went viral, 100 men versus one gorilla, no weapons, no tools, no shoes, who wins? I knew right away where I stood. We win. Every time. I laughed at the keyboard warriors who claimed a gorilla would tear us limb from limb. They called us meatbags, said we were underestimating raw nature, that even 10 men wouldn't stand a chance. Idiots. They'd never seen a fight up close. Me, I've fought. I boxed at Harvard, broke a man's jaw for looking at me wrong at a resort in Turks and Caicos. I live for the rush. You gather 100 alpha males with the same fire and throw them in a ring with some overgrown zoo attraction, that beast wouldn't last 5 minutes. That's why I created the gauntlet. We'd fly out to a privately sanctioned zone, 200 acres of sealed-off rainforest in a forgotten corner of the world. We'd pay off the local warlord. The perimeter would be guarded. The only way out was death or domination. The audience? Subscribers to Red Wraith, my invite-only darknet stream site. It would be the most viewed illegal broadcast of all time. One gorilla, 100 men, no rules, no escape. I personally vetted the roster. All killers, all cocky. No nerds, no thinkers, just pure apex testosterone, underground fighters, ex-special forces, crypto-rich sociopaths with something to prove. I called them the Legion. And yeah, I was the first to volunteer. We dropped in by helicopter. They gave us a final warning, no contact with the outside, no weapons. Once you enter, the gate locks behind you. You leave when one side is gone. The jungle was brutal. Thick heat, rotten air, every footstep sunk in wet earth. There were cameras on drones above us, silent. The stream had already begun. Over 10 million views within the first hour. I remember the smell of blood even before the first blow. The gorilla was caged in the center, 6 feet tall when he reared up, black as coal, eyes like wet coals. This wasn't a zoo animal. This thing had been captured in the Congo, trained to hate men. His name was Kuta. We didn't wait. At my signal, we rushed him from all sides, 100 against 1, like a tide of fists and fury. The cage dropped. He didn't move. The first guy to reach him, Diego, MMA coach from Miami, threw a right hook into the gorilla's chest. Kuta blinked. Then he grabbed Diego by the skull and ripped. No scream, just wet sound. Half of Diego's head separated from his neck. The rest of his body was thrown into the crowd like trash. I remember stopping. I remember the stench of blood and brains cooking in the sun. I remember someone screaming, "Get him!" And we did. We threw ourselves at him. He moved like lightning. Bones shattered. Teeth flew. I saw a man's leg turn backward. I saw arms break like sticks. Every punch we threw just made him angrier. It wasn't a fight. It was a slaughter. In the first 5 minutes, we lost 23 men. The rest of us scattered into the trees. That was day 1. Day 2, I didn't sleep, not a wink. I wedged myself beneath a banyan tree, knees to my chest, trying not to vomit every time a leaf brushed my shoulder. The jungle was loud, like it breathed. Things screeched in the distance, hissed underfoot. Somewhere nearby, something kept snapping branches, not big enough to be Kuta. But the fact that I was hoping it wasn't him, that told me everything. My shirt was damp, not from sweat, someone else's blood. My hands stung. My right knuckle was torn open, bone visible under the meat. I didn't even remember hitting anything. The air smelled like iron and rot. Then came a scream, far, but not far enough. A man's voice, cracked and shrill like his soul was tearing in half. Then nothing. The silence after a scream is worse than the scream itself. "Hey!" someone hissed from the trees. "Over here!" I turned, startled. A head popped up above the grass line. Close-cropped blonde, angular jaw, face streaked with blood. It was Jack. I pushed to my feet and limped toward him, brushing aside thorns. My heels were raw. I'd walked maybe half a mile barefoot since the drop, and my skin felt like it was peeling in strips. Jack grabbed my shoulder the second I was close. "You good?" he whispered. "I don't know what the fuck I am. We've got a group, maybe 6 guys left. Holed up about a click west. You in?" "Do I have a choice?" He cracked the faintest grin. "You always have a choice, but one leads to a tree full of your bones." We moved through the bush fast, ducking under vines, stepping over gnarled roots slick with fungus. I smelled something dead twice. Once it was a bird, ripped open like a toy. The other time I didn't see the source, just the flies and the grease-thick scent. When we reached the so-called camp, I counted 5 more. Tito, the Brazilian bouncer built like a vending machine. Knox, twitchy little bastard from Detroit with knuckles scabbed over. Gabe and Reggie, the Brooklyn twins with shaved heads and matching scars. And Voss, the South African ex-merc with one eye and a makeshift sling on his busted arm. They all looked up as we arrived. "We got another stray," Jack said. No one smiled. No one welcomed me. There was no time for that. "Sit," said Voss, gesturing toward a damp patch of leaves. "We're talking options. None of them good." "Who screamed earlier?" I asked. Knox answered, rubbing the back of his neck. "Marcus, MMA guy. The one with the dragon tattoo on his ribs." I vaguely remembered him. Loud, shredded, cocky. What happened? "He went off to take a shit," Knox muttered. "Didn't go far. Maybe 10, 15 feet behind those palms." We heard a rustle. Then we heard him scream. Gabe leaned forward. We went to check, only found his legs. I blinked. "What?" Reggie spoke this time, voice low. "His legs, just clean cut at the hips, laid there like logs, one shoe still on." "Where's the rest of him?" No one answered. "Forget it," Jack said. "He's gone. What matters is we stick together and find high ground. This thing doesn't hunt like an animal," Knox said. "It waits, ambushes." Marcus didn't make a sound until he was already done. "I'm telling you," Reggie said, "we need weapons. Real ones. Spears, traps, something." "With what?" Boss barked. "Sticks? You want to tickle him to death? We can rig up a drop trap, deadfall, lash stones together with vine." "Then you dig, genius," Gabe snapped. "Ground's mud." "We can try trees," I said. "Sleep high, stay off the ground." "He climbs," Tito muttered. "Saw it happen. Carter, y'all remember him?" "Yeah. Skinny guy, bald, worked for a hedge fund. Thought cardio would save him. He climbed high, 20 feet, maybe more. We watched him sit there for hours. Thought he was safe." "What happened?" Tito didn't blink. He screamed once, then fell, neck broken. Kuta shook the tree from below until he lost balance. Watched him hit the dirt head first. His spine folded. No one spoke for a while. Then something moved above us. We all froze. A soft creak, vines shifting. Knox's lips moved soundlessly. Jack had a rock in his hand. And then it dropped. A body. It landed 10 feet from us with a slap so wet it silenced the jungle. It was hung by its own intestines, wrapped around the branch like a sick vine. The corpse spun slowly as it hung, stripped to the muscle, face gone, skin peeled like a banana. Someone puked. I think it was Gabe. Tito stood and kicked dirt at the corpse. Fuck this. We gotta move." "Wait," Jack barked. "We can't run blind." But no one wanted to listen anymore. We were prey, and we knew it. We left within minutes. Stuck together, moving west through tangled brush, stepping over fallen branches and crushed frogs. My shirt was stuck to my back. The sun was like a weight on my skull. I saw red smears on leaves. Not old blood. Fresh. We tried to be quiet. We failed. Around midday we hit a stream. Narrow, maybe 8 feet across. Clear water, rocks. Reggie dropped to his knees and splashed his face. "Wait," Knox whispered. Too late. The water exploded. It wasn't Kuta, it was Reggie, yanked backward under the surface. For a second I thought something pulled him from below, but it wasn't that. It was Kuta. He had been lying in the water, hiding. He burst from the shallows like a demon, slammed Reggie's head against the rocks once, twice, a third time. Each hit made a sound like a coconut cracking. The rest of us screamed, scattered. I fell backward and rolled behind a log. Voss pulled a stick from his belt and charged. "No!" Jack hissed. "Don't!" Voss stabbed forward. Kuta didn't even dodge. He turned, caught the stick midair, and shoved it through Voss's thigh like it was paper. The merc screamed, fell to the ground kicking. Kuta roared. I saw his teeth, yellow, wet. He brought both fists down onto Voss's chest. The crack echoed like lightning. Ribs, spine, lungs, all gone in a single blow. Voss's body folded inward like a crushed box. We ran. We didn't regroup. We didn't call out. We just ran. I dove into the trees, slipped down a mud bank, skinned my arm on a jagged rock. The scream that tore out of me wasn't human. I think I passed out for a second. When I opened my eyes, I was alone. My heart wouldn't slow. Kuta didn't chase. That was the worst part. He didn't need to. He had time, and he had the numbers. Day 3. I woke up with ants crawling in my mouth. No exaggeration. I must have passed out on a hill of them. They were in my sleeves, my collar, my ears. I gagged, clawing at my throat, spitting red-specked insects onto the soil. One bit the inside of my lip before I finally ripped it loose. Morning was a sick joke. The sun leaked down in sickly gold streaks, filtered through the dripping canopy. It smelled like piss and fungus and something dead nearby I hadn't found yet. My back was soaked, not sweat, just the jungle bleeding into me. I sat up, hands shaking. I was alone. I didn't remember how I got there. I remembered Voss screaming, Reggie's skull bursting on wet stone, Kuta rising from the water like he was born of it, and then I ran like a coward. I wasn't supposed to be a coward. I was the one who started this, my idea, my empire. I handpicked every man, set the rules, made the pitch, laughed at the people online who said we were dead men walking. Now I was chewing ants and praying the monster didn't smell me. I stood slowly. My ankles hurt, twisted in the flight. My shirt was soaked and stiff with dried blood. A single leech hung off my wrist. I yanked it free, smeared its bloated body against a root. Then I heard footsteps. Human, cautious. I ducked behind a tree. I'm telling you, he came this way. Saw him bolt into the brush, voices, male, familiar. I stepped out slowly. Jack? They froze. 3 men. Jack, Tito, Gabe. All of them looked like hell, mud-caked, sunburned, bloody. Jack exhaled. Jesus, we thought you were done. I should be. Gabe looked at me, eyes sunken. Knox didn't make it. What happened? Snare trap, Tito said. We rigged one up, hoping to slow him down. Knox volunteered to test the trigger. Rope held for half a second, then snapped. Jack added, we found half his face against the trunk, still twitching. No one said anything for a long time. We found high ground, Gabe finally said. An old outpost, rusted frame, some kind of watch station, probably from the war. Steel frame, no walls. Elevation might keep us alive through the night. You sure you can't climb it? I asked. Jack stared me down. No, but we went anyway. It took most of the day to reach it. The climb was steep, mossy hills, rocks that crumbled when you stepped wrong. Gabe fell once, gashed his palm open. We wrapped it with a strip from Tito's shirt. No medkits, no antiseptic, just rot and luck. When we saw the outpost, we didn't speak. It was a skeleton of a structure, metal beams rising from a rock ledge about 20 feet up. No stairs, just bent scaffolding and vines. We scrambled up, one at a time. My legs barely held. At the top was a flat platform, rusted metal, open on all sides. Someone had tried to build something there once, but war or time or weather had wiped it out. Still, it was off the ground, and that felt like a miracle. We sat in a circle, passing around a crushed water bottle Jack had filled from a stream upstream of the corpse site. It tasted like mud and old copper, but we drank it anyway. "What time is it?" Gabe asked. "No idea," Tito grunted. "We didn't have watches anymore. Phones were gone." But the light dimmed, and the jungle changed. You could feel it, the pulse of the world slowing. The animals quieted. Bugs chirped in rhythm. Everything braced for night. "Anyone seen the drones?" I asked. They looked at me. "The cameras. There were drones in the sky. Day one. Dozens." "No," Jack said. "Haven't seen them since the first deaths." I looked up. Just clouds. No hum of wings. No blinking lights. Maybe they're gone. "Maybe someone pulled the plug," Tito added. Silence. And then Gabe whispered something that turned my stomach. "Maybe they're waiting to see if he wins." The idea sank in like poison. That maybe we weren't just being hunted by a gorilla. Maybe the world was watching to see how long it would take before he wiped out every last one of us. We took turns sleeping. I woke up to screaming. It was Tito. I scrambled upright, heart hammering. Tito was halfway over the edge, legs kicking, hands clawing at rust. Kuta had climbed. I didn't see how. I didn't hear him. He must have scaled the ledge using the beams. Quiet, fast. Tito screamed again. Then the scream stopped, cut short like a rope snapped inside him. I saw the moment his spine bent backward, saw the shine of Kuta's black eyes before he dropped away into the dark with Tito still in his arms like a rag doll. Gabe vomited. Jack froze. I couldn't breathe. We'd lost high ground. We had nowhere left to go. Day 4. Tito's scream still echoed in my ears by morning like it was carved into the inside of my skull. I didn't sleep again. None of us did. After Kuta vanished into the black below, Tito limp in his arms like a broken doll, we sat in silence for what must have been hours. Gabe wept, soft and silent. Jack didn't move at all. His knuckles were white around the rusted bar he clung to, like if he let go, the whole thing would fall apart. I didn't speak, couldn't, just stared into the dark. We should have been safe, 20 feet off the ground, metal structure, no trees touching it, but he came anyway. Scaled the steel beams like it was nothing, made no sound, no growl, no warning. And when he took Tito, we didn't even try to stop him, because we knew. Nothing we did would matter. The jungle was pale with morning when we climbed down. Jack went first, without a word. Gabe followed. I hesitated, but the thought of staying up there alone was worse than death. We limped back toward the stream. Gabe had dried vomit down his front. His hand was swollen from the gash. It looked like raw meat, blistered and purple. "You okay?" I asked. He looked at me like I was an idiot. No, I'm not okay. I watched a gorilla fold a man in half like a goddamn paperback, and I have jungle rot in my fucking palm. We need to clean that. With what? Jesus piss? I let it go. We reached the stream. The water ran clear, gentle, too gentle. Like it didn't care what horrors lived beside it. Gabe dropped to his knees and dipped his hand. Jack stood watch. I kept an eye on the trees. "You think anyone else is alive?" I asked. Jack squinted up the ridge. "Maybe. If they are, they're hiding. Smart ones might have built something." "Built what?" He shrugged. "Shelter, traps, fire. Nothing burns in this place. Too wet. Then we die wet." Gabe let out a noise, something between a gasp and a grunt. We turned. His hand was still in the stream, but his face was pale, eyes wide. "Gabe?" Jack asked. Then Gabe screamed. He yanked his hand out. There was no hand, just a pulpy stump where it had been. Wrist bone chewed, jagged, tendons dangling like wet strings. Blood sprayed up like a fountain. "What the fuck?" I reached to grab him, but something exploded from the water. Kuta. He had waited again, beneath a surface still as stone. His black arm shot up, gripped Gabe by the neck, and lifted. We watched in frozen horror as Gabe thrashed midair, blood spraying from his ruined wrist, legs kicking. Then Kuta slammed him down. The skull cracked open on the rocks. A second hit popped it like a fruit. Pink mist coated the stream. Bone shards sprayed outward. Jack grabbed me by the shirt and hauled me back, screaming, "Run!" But my legs didn't work. I stared at what was left of Gabe, his body twitching like a puppet with its strings cut. His jaw hung loose. One eye gone, socket caved in. Kuta looked up at me, just looked. Blood matted the fur around his face. He licked his hand. I ran until my feet bled, until every branch tore at my arms, until I slipped down a hill and slammed my head against a stone. Darkness swallowed me whole. I woke up in a hole, dirt floor, mud walls, something overhead, woven branches, leaves, vines. It took me a full minute to realize I wasn't dead. Then I heard breathing, human. I looked up and saw two men crouched nearby. One held a sharpened stick, the other had a makeshift club, a rock tied to a branch with wire. I blinked. My vision was double. "Who?" "Don't talk," one said. "He'll hear." They were gaunt, covered in filth, hollow-eyed. "We found you near the ridge," the club wielder whispered, "bleeding bad. Almost left you." "Glad you didn't," I muttered, coughing. "You will be." He handed me a strip of dried bark. "Chew that. Kills the pain." I did. It tasted like gasoline and mint. "You're one of the organizers, right?" he asked. I nodded slowly. "Figures." "You alone?" the other asked. "Not anymore, I guess. How many in your group?" "2, I said. "Was 3, was..." They didn't ask what happened. Everyone knew the answer. "We have 6 here," said the first man. 7 with you. Not all in this hole. Spread out. We rotate camps. Sleep in different spots. Never the same place twice." "Why?" "Because he's learning." I stared. "He's an animal. Animals learn. He watches, tests, pushes, don't know if he knows what he's doing, but he does it." I sat up straighter. "Why the hole?" "Only thing that's worked," the other whispered. "He can't dig, can't smell too well. If we stay low and cover the scent, he walks right past." "And the others?" The clubman glanced away. 2 days ago, he found one of our pits, empty. He pissed in it, what, like he was claiming it. Then the other added, "Next night, he dropped a body in it." "Who?" "Don't know. Couldn't tell. Head was gone. Stomach open. Like he wanted us to see." Silence. One of them added very quietly, "You don't kill something like that. You just hope he gets bored." I didn't respond, because something in me already knew. Kuta wasn't getting bored. He was getting better. Day 5. I didn't know their names. The 2 men who saved me never offered, and I never asked. Names felt useless now, like trying to name waves in a flood. We stayed in that pit for hours, unmoving. Covered the roof with layers of wet leaves and dirt until light barely filtered through. They said scent was more dangerous than noise. We pissed in a bottle and buried our shit. One of them had fashioned a crude mesh bag of leaves soaked in sap that masked human smell. They didn't learn it from books. They learned it from corpses. "We had a guy," one whispered, "military. Smart. Built a platform 20 feet up with ropes. Real craftsmanship." "What happened?" I asked. Came back one morning. Platform was in the tree still. His arms were hanging from it. I didn't ask how they knew they were his. Eventually, the plan was set. We'd meet up with the rest of their group. 4 men left. One had a busted leg. Another had gone silent, just stared off like he'd already died. "We move at night," one of them said. "He's less active then." "You sure?" "No." The light dimmed. We emerged like rats. I hadn't eaten in days. My stomach felt like a drum. We stayed low, moved slow, One man ahead, the other behind me. I could smell their fear, metallic, like blood and rot under the sweat. Every snapped twig felt like a death sentence. Then we heard a scream, not a human one, an animal scream, followed by the wet crunch of something heavy slamming meat. The man ahead of me froze. Shit. That's Saul. We ran. It was reckless, but instinct overruled logic. We ducked through the vines and down a slope slick with moss, and there he was, Saul, curled up on the ground, missing the bottom half of his jaw. His tongue lolled out of the gaping maw, twitching. One eye had burst. His legs were bent the wrong way, but he was still alive. He blinked, tried to lift a hand. His fingers were gone, chewed off at the knuckle. Fuck, the man beside me hissed, falling to his knees. We need to go, I said, pulling him up. I can't leave him. He's already dead, Saul gurgled, and then the leaves behind us exploded. Kuta. He didn't roar, didn't posture, he just moved. I saw him grab the kneeling man by the spine, lifted him straight into the air, as if gravity didn't matter. His arms flailed. Then came the sound, CRKK, a pop like a tree branch snapping. His torso bent backwards, spine split at the middle. His legs still kicked, even as his upper half sagged like meat off a bone. Blood sprayed in an arc across the grass. It hit my face, hot, sweet. I ran, didn't look back, didn't even scream. My breath turned to knives in my chest as I crashed through a tangle of brush, sprinted blindly, then slammed headfirst into a tree trunk. I dropped, consciousness frayed. When I came to, I was alone again, covered in blood that wasn't mine. It was the middle of the night when I found the others. Jack was still alive, so was a man named Ronnie, gaunt, twitchy, with blood-caked fingernails and a 1,000-yard stare. The silent one they mentioned was real too. Sat on a flat stone with his mouth open, eyes unblinking, flies crawling on his cheeks. I don't think he'd blinked all day. Holy shit, Jack muttered when I stumbled into the clearing. I thought you were dead. He tossed me half a mango. I ate it, skin and all. We're done hiding, Ronnie said. Excuse me? You heard me, he said, crouching next to a crude pile of sharpened steaks. We're gonna kill this motherfucker. With what? He held up a branch tied with glass shards. This, I laughed, actually laughed. The sound cracked in my throat like broken glass. You think that'll stop him? Ronnie didn't laugh. He looked me dead in the eye. No, but it'll slow him down. We set traps, Jack added. We lead him into them. Spear pits, spiked nets. We've got 4 left. 5 with you. You really think we can kill him with sticks and attitude? No, Jack said. I know we'll die anyway, but I'm not going to be dragged off screaming like Tito. If I die, I take a piece of him with me. Ronnie's hands trembled, but his grip on the club was firm. Tomorrow, he said, we fight. We didn't sleep. We sharpened wood into lances, dug shallow pits and filled them with snapped branches tied with shoelaces and stripped wire. Found a ridge to bottleneck him. By sunrise, we were ready. Jack took point. Ronnie hid in the brush near the trap. The silent one, who we'd started calling Hollow, just sat on a rock staring. I crouched behind a vine wall, gripping a sharpened stick like it would save my life. The jungle waited, then we heard it. The breathing. He was near. Twigs snapped. Ronnie whistled, the signal. Kuta entered the trap zone, 6 feet tall, black as death, glistening with morning dew. His arms hung low, thick with blood-caked fur. Flies buzzed around him like a halo. Jack screamed and charged. Everything exploded. Jack stabbed forward. The spear sank into Kuta's side, but barely. The beast roared and swatted. Jack's arm came off. Just off. A spray of red. Bones snapped, flesh torn like paper. He screamed once before Kuta grabbed him by the waist and slammed him down onto the spike pit. Jack's body landed on 3 lances. One entered his stomach, one his thigh, one through the mouth. Ronnie roared and lunged from the side, club swinging. The glass hit Kuta's flank, drew blood. Kuta turned, grabbed Ronnie's face in both hands, and pulled. The sound was wet, slow, like tearing open a roast. Ronnie's head split up the middle. The brain slopped down his chest like soup. Kuta flung him into the trees, body hitting a branch with a crack before vanishing. Then he looked at me and smiled, not with joy, not with malice, just animal confidence. He turned and walked away, leaving me and Hollow and a clearing filled with blood. Day 6. I didn't bury Jack, didn't bury Ronnie either. There was no time, no tools, no point. Their bodies were split, scattered. Jack's tongue was still twitching when I crawled to the edge of the spike pit, not to save him but to stare, to memorize what would happen to me. His eyes were wide, frozen in a state of screaming. I sat there for a while, hours maybe. Then Hollow moved. He didn't say anything. He never did. Just stood, walked to the tree line, and began dragging something, a long, curved branch covered in vines. I watched him in a daze as he propped it up between two trunks, then knelt down with something shiny. A strip of glass, from Ronnie's club. He was building something, not a trap, not a shelter, a weapon, a crude bow. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't strong, but he hadn't died, and in a place like this, that counted for more than muscle. I moved without thinking, gathered leaves, branches, vines, tied together shafts, sharpened them on a rock. We didn't speak. We worked, side by side like two ghosts clinging to ritual. It was nightfall when we finished. We had 2 bows, 8 arrows, and a corpse, Ronnie's, still slumped nearby, headless but body mostly intact. Hollow dragged him by the ankles. I helped. We hung him from a tree with vines like bait. Then we climbed. Not a platform this time, not a pit. We hid in the canopy, 40 feet above, cradled between thick limbs, camouflaged in shadow. Each of us held a bow. I had 2 arrows. Hollow had the rest. Below us, Ronnie's ruined body swayed in the breeze. The jungle went quiet, and we waited. I don't know how long we sat in that tree. Hours. The blood from Ronnie's neck dripped in a steady rhythm. Plop, plop, plop. Every drop hit a leaf, echoed into the dark. Then we heard it. Heavy steps, twigs breaking. Breath like wine through a sewer pipe. Kuta. He walked into the clearing on all 4s, moved slow, cautious. He sniffed the air, then looked up. Right at us. We didn't move. I held my breath so long my vision dimmed. He stared for another 30 seconds, then stood and grabbed Ronnie's corpse by the leg. He ripped it in half. Blood poured like soup from a snapped pot. Intestines flopped to the ground, followed by a slurping slop of half-digested fruit. Then he sniffed one half and hurled it into the tree. It hit the trunk with a splatter and bounced off. A rib landed 2 feet from my head. Hollow raised his bow. No hesitation. Twang. The arrow sailed down. It hit Kuta in the back, deep, past the fur, into the meat. Kuta screamed, not a roar, a scream, like rage and pain and murder all mixed into one animal bellow. Then he looked up and leapt. He hit the tree trunk like a cannonball. The whole canopy shook. I dropped my second arrow. Hollow fired again, missed. Kuta climbed, faster than any human could run. I screamed. Hollow reached for another arrow, but Kuta was already there. He ripped the limb off the tree. The branch snapped in one motion. Hollow fell with it, slammed into a rock below, spine first. I heard the crunch from above. He didn't move. Kuta looked up. Our eyes met again. No intelligence. No emotion, just hunger, ownership. This was his jungle, his domain. I didn't wait for him to climb. I jumped, fell 20 feet, slammed into a branch, bounced. Hit the ground shoulder first. Pain screamed through my ribs. I rolled. Blood filled my mouth. Behind me, branches snapping. I ran. I didn't care where. Branches tore at my arms. Mud caked my feet. I left behind blood, hair, maybe pieces of myself. I don't know how far I went until I saw it. A wall, the edge, a rusted steel wall, 20 feet tall. Dented, barbed wire at the top, the perimeter, the place they said we couldn't leave. There was no door. I collapsed against it, screamed, beat my fists until they split. And then I heard him, behind me, breathing. I turned. He was there, standing on 2 feet, towering, covered in blood. Jack's, Ronnie's, Gabe's, Tito's, mine. His chest heaved. His arms dangled. I didn't run. I couldn't. I just dropped to my knees and whispered, "You win." Kuta stepped closer, raised one fist, and I woke up choking. A beam of light cut across my face. I was in a room, white walls, beeping monitors. My arms were strapped down. A hospital, or something like one. A man in a suit stood at the foot of my bed. He held a tablet. "You're the only one left," he said. I tried to speak. My throat was raw. He held up a hand. "Don't try, just listen." He showed me the screen. Video footage. Kuta standing over me. Then, walking away, leaving me alive. The video ended. "Why?" I croaked. He shrugged. "We don't know. Maybe he didn't see you as a threat. Maybe he was full. Maybe he was bored." I stared at the ceiling. "You'll be transferred soon," the man said. "Officially this never happened, but the footage, already archived. Red Wraith had over 20 million viewers before we cut the stream." He leaned in. "Congratulations. You were the star of the highest rated live snuff event in history." He smiled, cold, corporate, then turned to leave. As the door clicked shut, I realized something else. The video had ended too soon. It didn't show what happened after Kuta walked away. Didn't show what I saw when I tried to move. Didn't show the footprint left beside me, one 3 times the size of a normal gorilla. Didn't show the bones, the nest, or the others. Still alive,